Yeah, Monday. What's up, everybody? Monday morning. Hope you guys are having a great day and had a great weekend. Welcome to today's edition of the Daily Market Commentary. I'm your host, Chuck Fulkerson. We're going to go ahead and get started with our four major markets as we are down about 1.5% today on global fears of Evergrande and the default of Evergrande, which is, for those of you that are unfamiliar with Evergrande, it's a Chinese property group, but big defaults there have really, scared the whole global economy because this is a giant firm that's touching investors and really, is the government going to back them? And so the question is, does this start a tidal wave around the globe? And I think that's the fear that the markets are kind of pricing in this morning. So let's take a look at how the S&P is reacting. The S&P had a really good demand level right here that we thought made for a pretty good quality buying opportunity on a retest back to this area. Matter of fact, from a confirmation trade perspective, it looked really strong. We did come back and touch the activation before the head hits the pillow, saying, "Hey, this trade might work out pretty well." And then you went to bed feeling pretty good about it, and you woke up with a stop out as it dropped down below that level. And there's really nothing to stop it from continuing to go further down. That was really the best hourly demand level to stop price from falling. Our next one comes in down around this range in here, which it looks like we're about to test that one later today. Now, certainly that would be kind of a scary little level to look at. So I normally look at this in terms of day trading, but let's take a quick peek in terms of swing trading. And if we take a quick peek at this in terms of swing trading, one of the things that I want to do, I'm going to throw on a quick trade, a quick indicator, which is our Bollinger Bands. We are deeply extended beyond our daily Bollingers, which not necessarily, doesn't necessarily mean that price is going to bounce up after getting below the Bollinger Bands, right? Things can stay oversold for a while, but if you look back historically over the last year, we have not gotten this far below the daily Bollinger Bands, except for maybe one other time where we came below them, but I don't even know if it was quite this far down below. If I go back to the last 3 years, just in this entire rally up, this is the deepest that we've come below the daily Bollinger Bands. Now, once again, something that's oversold can stay oversold for quite a while, right? Look at this time below, and it just stayed along those lower bands. I'm not saying that it's a definitive bounce higher. What I am saying is that when I look at the daily chart from a swing trading perspective, I am starting to wonder at what point will we get some sort of a bullish follow through day. And your next, we've not put in technically a daily lower low yet, although we're getting right there. We're testing this prior low, and so I'm wondering if we make it down to 4250 on the daily chart, because that's our prior area of resistance, old resistance axis, new support. We came below this one, and so the next one would be 4250 down here. So that being said, any small time frame demand has got to be taken with a grain of salt as far as a chance to get long. This was the origin of this move down, and with that origin of that move down, I think that would be, if we rally back up, a pretty good tradable area. Now, looking at this, the next area of demand, if I go back and look at that, we got to come all the way back. We basically have erased all of August's gains in the first 20 days of September. So the first 20 days of September have erased all of August's gains. Not overly surprising, though, right? If we go back and look at a weekly chart from last year, we can see that last year in the month of September, we had essentially 4 down weeks in a row, right? August, September. We didn't have a rally until October came around. Now, when I look at our pullback so far in the month of September this time, very similar picture in that we may get, a pullback. So I'm still waiting to see when do we hit some sort of a bottom and start to reverse back up. But until then, I'm looking primarily at shorting opportunities in the smaller time frames as an intraday trader. All right. And so this would have to be a confirmation entry if price comes back into that region. NASDAQ had a confirmation entry that we actually blew right through, didn't give you a good entry on the NASDAQ long. Potential breakout was set up last night at about 15,260. We certainly did get that breakout occurred, and then if you missed the breakout, it gave you a retest opportunity for price to continue to come back down. I'm going to turn that into a supply area, as that's really the where the retest happened after we broke down below there. From a supply zone standpoint, I don't know that we'll make it back up to there. You also might look at 15,150 here for a potential reversal. Same thing goes as far as demand. I don't have a quality demand for a while on this one. Maybe down around 15,000 would be my quality area of demand, but once again, that has to be a confirmation. Moving over to the crude oil. So looking at crude, I also, another one anticipating a bit of a bounce, and we got a little bit of basing inside the level here, and then came through it. Now, the downside of this crude oil trade was all this basing we had in front. Remember that if we, looking at this, as far as your basing goes, you got about a you have less than a 2-to-1 reward to risk between here and the basing, right? If you take this area right here as your risk, you got a 1-to-1, 2-to-1. This basing here in front of the level makes it the kiss of death, and so price did come through there, telling you, hey, you probably should stay away from this one, which is why we don't do set it and forget it trades in the overnight. Now, since that level was violated and broken, if we do rally back up here, even in the next little bit, look for this pivot to act as a supply area coming back up into this region. All right, and then last was gold. Gold, we actually had a breakdown set up inside of the GC for a potential move lower. Not a whole lot was there in gold, but we definitely did have lower swing lows, lower swing highs. Our retest area up here is really, in my mind, our best level. These areas up in here. We did come back down into this region, broke a bit below it without truly getting quality basing, and then popped back up. I still think you may have a breakdown below here, but I think that there was in the overnight on the fears of the collapse in China and kind of, can that stem some? I think there was a little bit of a flight to quality, and we saw a pop in gold. For now, I don't really have anything else I want to add to gold. This supply level here is pretty strong. If you go to a smaller time period, say a 15-minute chart, there's really nothing on here that I'm super enamored with. So, all right, well, those are my 4 areas for today. We had taken a look last week at kind of a stock of the day, and one of the stock of the day that we had looked at last week was Baba on the daily time period, and we actually have seen this one. It broke down a little bit below, and that was rallied back up a smidge. It looks like today we're going to open up in this 154 region. So that could give you, if you didn't take the breakdown, I think that can be your trigger for an entry today for price getting a little bit lower on this one. Another one we've looked at recently was Square. We looked at a breakdown in Square outside of this symmetrical triangle. So that one is approaching its eventual target. And then one that we looked at a couple of weeks ago, which has hit target, was MasterCard. We looked at MasterCard on August the 25th in the bear area as price had rallied back up into a supply zone and started then a pretty good sell-off. So a couple of bearish positions have been very effective. Now, I will say one of the things to look at right now are what are some stocks that are holding up better than the market in general. So if I look at, say, the SPY, and we see the SPY is pulled back, what are some stocks that have given me a bit of a bit of relative strength. And when I talk relative strength, what I mean is that as the market is pulled back, some stocks that have gone a bit more sideways, those would be the stocks that in your scans to go ahead and look for today. And so, because when the market hits an area where we see a reversal, and it's going to happen, we're going to see a reversal, and the markets are going to head back up. Just not sure when. You're going to want to find stocks that have shown relative strength to the S&P in general. So keep that in mind for today. I haven't really gone through that scan myself. I'm going to be doing some of that later today. Maybe I'll post some of my results of some relative strength scan stocks that I can find. But until tomorrow, everybody, I hope you guys have a phenomenal day. I will talk to you soon. See ya. Hey, thanks for joining us. If you like what we do, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's the only way the computers know that you're actually alive and really care. And go to tradersarmy.com today to learn a bit more. And if you want to see some of our other videos, click here in the box.